Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. We're from Group 5E. In this opportunity, we are going to talk about the Indonesian education disparity based on the Sustainable Development Goals 4.0. So what is SDG? SDG refers to the quality of the education, whereby it is ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all the children. In this work, only 58% of the students achieve at least the minimum proficiency level of reading at the end of the primary schooling. Based on the 2019 data, a large share of the countries is moving backwards in learning outcomes at the end of lower secondary school. Improvement in the upper secondary completion has also been rated down since the 2015.
Okay, now we're moving on to the summary of employment rate by education level by gender. First, employment rates and education levels. Employment rates increase as the level of education rises, and people with higher education levels, such as tertiary education, shows higher employment rates compared to those with only below upper secondary education. And next, gender differences in employment. First, males consistently have higher employment rates than females across all education levels. And for males, employment rates are highest in the below upper secondary category. But on the other hand, for females, the employment rate for tertiary education is significantly higher than for those with below upper secondary educations.
Moving on to the next slides, we're gonna talk about unemployment and inactivity level. The first one, we have tertiary educated women, which is women with higher education territory shows the highest levels of unemployment or inactivity, indicating that education alone doesn't translate into workforce participation for this group. For the second one, we have tertiary educated men, which is men with tertiary education also experience notable unemployment or inactivity, but at lower levels compared to women. And for the last one, we're going to talk about lower educated groups. Individuals with less education, it's on below upper secondary, have significantly lower inactivity or in unemployment rates, suggesting they are more likely to engage in low-skill jobs that don't require higher education.
Let's take a closer look at how this graph shows the educational attainment levels in Indonesia, broken down by age group and gender. The categories are below upper secondary, and tertiary education. For older generations, ages 55 until 64, the majority of both genders completed education below upper secondary. 80% of females and 71% of males fall into this category. Only 20% of females and 29% of males reached upper secondary, and tertiary attainment is minimal. 80% for females and 10% for males. This highlights significant education barriers in the past. For middle age group, 45 until 54 and 35 until 44, we see slight improvements. For females, the percentage below upper secondary drops to 68%, while males drop to 61%. Upper secondary completion increased to around 32% for females and 39% for males, with both genders maintaining 10% tertiary attainment. In the 35 until 44 age group, the trend becomes clearer. Below upper secondary declines further into 58% for females and 54% for males. Upper secondary completion rises to over 40%, and tertiary education improves to 14% for females and 12% for males. This reflects growing access to education in recent decades. Youngest generation, 25 until 34 people in around that age, they represent the most significant improvements. Below upper secondary rates drop sharply to around 43% for females and 42% for males. A majority, 57% of females and 58% of males now complete upper secondary, and tertiary education shows the highest level so far, 21% for females and 15% for males. This highlights how recent investments in education are yielding results.
Okay, based on the participation in the formal education here, we can see from the data here based on the school enrollment rate for the 7 to 12 years children, for the 13 to 15 years children, 16 to 18, 19 to 23, and then the 19 to the 25 24 years old of the children. So based on the provided graph here, these are the sum of the rate of the children pursuing their education system here. So on the 2018, we can see from the bar of the diagrams here, from the 7 to 12 years children, we see that the graph here shows to the accumulated almost the 100 sum of rate of the children pursuing their education for the base children on the 7 to 12 years. Moving to the 2019 for this, leading to the point of the 99.174, and then the 2020 for the 7 to 12 years children is around 99.2. The 2021 leading to the sum of rate for 99.1, and then the 2022 also leads to almost the same accumulated to 99 for the sum of rate, and then the 2023 leading to the 99, and 2024 also leading to the 99. And then based here on the next provided graph here, we can see from the 13 to 15 years, we can see the trends here. The enrollment rates appear steady and gradually increasing over the years, with the 2024 shown on the base on the highest rates. And then but we can see here from the younger age groups consistently show the higher total of the trends of the educations they are pursuing. The rates compared to the rates that are based for the people that are older, like for example the 19 to 24 years old, they tend to show the slower trend based on the graph. And then the significant growth is also observed on the 13 to the 15 years, whereby you can see for the 13 to the 15 years and then the 16 to 18 years categories, they are reflecting the strong emphasis on the secondary education they are pursued. Moving on to the conclusion of this data, that leading of the sum of the rate based on the participation in the formal education is that the retaining older students in the formal education is a challenge, highlighting whereby it is the challenge and then the reflecting for the based on the sustainable development goals, especially for the 4.1. So it needs to be targeted, it needs to be intervened by the address and then varies in a higher education participation, so that all students are ensured to pursue their education regardless of their background details or something, regardless of their background.
Okay, go to the next slide from the graph, and here we can see a large portion of the population is concentrated in early childhood education and upper secondary education levels. A significant number of individuals are also enrolled in pre-primary and lower secondary education, though not as high as the previously mentioned levels. Few individuals progress to tertiary education or remain with minimal education, such as those who have only attended pre-primary or developmental program.
From the data that we collect from Socialness 2017, we indicate that among households with out-of-school children in percentage, with their reason has varied significantly. So, for the reason, male and female differences, first is cultural norms influence gender differences. As you can see, marriage and household responsibilities are more significant barriers for female, reflecting gender-based societal roles. That's from the data. The reason for marriage, dropping out of school, female has higher percentage with 12.3% rather than male 0.4%, and also taking care of the household reason for the female is 3.7% and 0.4% for male. And then academic constraints affect both gender equally. As you can see from the data, insufficient funds is the holds major percentage of the reason why the students are dropping out, with 33% coming from male and also 30.7% coming from female. And then work as a barrier in male dominated. More males leave school to work, showing the economic roles expectation of men, as you can see from the data, which is working. The male hold 18.7%, while the female hold 13.7% on E. As for the conclusion, we can see that all of the data that we have collected shows that the government of Indonesia have tried their best in order to meet the SDG number 4, which is quality of education. And therefore, we believe that by 2030, the quality of education in Indonesia can be improved as long as they can use all of the statistics given as a reference. Thank you.